Good evening, everyone. This is 100 Days of Purpose. I am Coach Linda, and we are on day 63. Can you believe it? We're moving right along. Time is going by, and we've had a couple of bumps in the road, but we are still here. And so today's topic is creating your vision. And I want you to visualize where you're trying to get to, where you really, really want to go. Um, Because when you are defining who you are and what you're going to contribute to the world without vision, it's hard for you to keep it moving forward, to keep from getting distracted and looking to the left and to the right. And you see others maybe advancing quicker than you, or maybe even doing something very similar to what you're trying to do, and you feel like, well, why do I need to do this? What's the point? But when you have a vision, when you can envision what it is that you are trying to accomplish, what it is that you are trying to get to, when you have that goal in mind, that's why they say keep your eye on the prize, right? You got to keep looking forward when you're running in a race. If you start looking at the other people running in the race, or looking behind you to see who might be approaching, you will never win the race. You got to keep your eyes on the finish line. And so vision boards and all of that come into play here, because some people find it hard to have a picture of it in their mind, or write it out. But I would say, first you got to start with a mind view, right? And so you got to ask yourself, where is it that I really want to go? How can I be strategic? How can I be intentional? How can I make the right moves? Where do I even begin? And it's very important that you see the end before you see the end. So you gotta envision where it is that you're trying to get to, envision the finish line, and then live in that moment. And what I mean by live in that moment, I mean experience it for all that it's worth. Well, Linda, I don't know how to do that because I've never achieved this. I've never seen anyone achieve this. I've never, what I'm trying to do is just groundbreaking. It's so new to the world that there's nothing to compare. And I get that. But how are you going to feel when you accomplish it? How are you going to be able to celebrate? And so when I say envision, what I mean, envision the finish line and live in that moment, I mean, plan the party. Uh, Understand the celebration that's going to go forth, how you're going to feel, how you're going to look, what you're going to do, what doors are going to be available to you because you've reached that goal. You've got to live in that moment and feel it, because when you are going back to square one and you begin the journey, you've got to remind yourself on a daily basis, sometimes every minute of the day, what that felt like. You got to remind yourself what you look like. You got to remind yourself what you said, how you said it. You got to be able to see that in a totally different way, and your life has to be totally different than what it is today. You can't take the same emotions, the same feelings, the same complaints. One of the things that really bothers me is when people say that they're doing self development and personal growth, and I see them going through the same thing they went through 5 years ago. I see them struggling in the same ways that they struggled 5 years ago. And I'm like, Where's the personal growth you've been telling me about? What things are you actually doing? And the reason why they're still struggling with the same things is because they didn't envision the finish goal. They didn't envision and live in that moment. And so they don't really know what to expect. And the uncertainty of it happening is always plaguing them. And they don't totally surrender to the journey. They don't totally surrender to the process because they haven't envisioned the finish line and they don't know if they're going to make the finish line. And so it's very important when you are deciding to become a person of purpose and you're deciding to do this thing strategically and intentionally, and you're taking the control of your life. And again, I don't want you to think that I'm saying this is without God. What I'm saying is that God has a plan for your life, and you've got to have the faith and the trust in the plan to be able to move forward. Because if that's the case, you would be living his plan without any effort. You would be living his plan, and he would just have dropped you in as a puzzle piece into the right spot, and you would be living it. But he wants you to want it as much as he wants it for you. And so I'm not saying disregard God. And I need you to understand that and recognize that you've got to have a belief in something greater than you, in that process that's greater than you, because you are not just creating your world, you're creating the part of your world that fits into the rest of the world, right? Because God is looking at the bigger picture, and he has a place for you that only you can fit. But you've got to want to fit in it, and you've got to stop trying to be something that you're not. You've got to stop trying to do things that you were never meant to do, because that's when frustration and overwhelmness, or being overwhelmed, comes into play. And so when you are struggling with the same things that you've been struggling with, and you're telling me that you are going through this personal growth development, and you are growing and learning and you're wiser, I'm like, where? Because you're still making the same mistakes. You're still doing the same things. You're still frustrated over the same things. Where is the growth? The Bible says, my people perish for a lack of vision. They perish for a lack of knowledge. And that means that you don't know everything. You've got to research it. You've got to go after it. You've got to attain the knowledge, because if you don't attain the knowledge, then you will perish. You were never meant to stay in the first grade. You were meant to go from first to second to third to fourth to fifth. And yeah, there are dropouts. You know what dropouts are? They are people with no vision. They dropped out of life. And they're doing the same struggles. They're going through the same struggles. I believe that many of us, we don't get it. We don't see it, and we don't feel it, and we keep telling ourselves that it's not possible when everything around us tells us that it is. Everything around us. Everything around us tells us that it is. But we are so into being stuck and lacking vision and lacking purpose, lacking direction. So you've got to envision yourself already there and experience it full hearted. The homework, there's some homework here for you today that you can go through, that you can look at, that you can read, and you can get it. Hopefully will guide you through this whole envisioning process. And for some people, it's hard to get a mind view, but you got to get a mind view before you can put it up on a vision board, before you can put it in a vision journal, before you can tell anyone else about it. You've got to know what it is that you can see. You've got to see it, live it, experience it, smell it, touch it. Feel it. Everything about you has to be in that moment so you can remind yourself when things get hard, when things get heavy, when it doesn't look like it's going to happen. You can envision and you can say, no, it has to happen because I was there. I felt it. I felt the celebration. I felt the jubilation. I felt the accomplishment. That's what creating a vision is all about. Now, if you need more help in creating this vision, reach out to me. And I have workbooks and, well, worksheets and things and coaching techniques and strategies that I can share with you to help you get into that moment. But, I can't give everything away for free. You know, I'm in a business and I'm here to make money in my business, right? IRS says, did you get into business to make a profit? I got into business to make a profit. So I can't give everything away for free. But if you've been following with these 100 days, these 100 days are free. You can get all the advice you need and you can then take it to the next level. But that's the issue. People want the free stuff, but they don't want to invest in themselves. They don't want to invest in their future, and they don't want to invest in their purpose, and they don't want to invest in what is going to take their family to the next level. Something for nothing leaves you barren. You don't appreciate the free stuff because you didn't have to work for it. When you have to work for something, you cherish it more. When you have to get downright dirty and get your hands in the mud and the muck and the mire, you then understand what it takes to attain that thing, and you're not so willing to dismiss it and throw it aside. So envision your journey, envision your future, envision your purpose. Feel it, experience it, and know it like you know your name. And then walk therein. I'm Coach Linda. This is 100 Days of Purpose. And I pray that you are having a blessed and wonderful evening. Go, live, thrive, and prosper. See you tomorrow with another episode of 100 Days of Purpose.